When I was growing up, I didn't see people like me on television, not really. The world on the screen was a very different place than the world I lived in. It was a world where queer people, especially trans people, were mostly invisible. If we did appear, it was almost never in a way that felt true. We were often just a quick joke for the audience to laugh at. Or we were portrayed as something to be feared, like villains or monsters. This kind of representation sends a powerful message. It tells you that you don't belong. It tells you that your story doesn't matter. This practice of erasing or villainizing us has a long history in Hollywood. In the early days, strict rules called the Hays Code made it nearly impossible to show queer characters openly. So filmmakers had to use codes and hints. A male character might be shown as overly sensitive or fussy. A female character might be portrayed as dangerously independent or masculine. These were stereotypes, of course. They were whispers in the dark, not real, full people. This meant audiences had to read between the lines to find any hint of queerness, and it was always painted as something negative or abnormal. These portrayals were not just harmless fun. They shaped how society viewed the LGBTQ+ community for generations. When all you see are caricatures, it becomes easy to believe that those stereotypes are the truth. It makes it easier to dismiss real people's pain and humanity. Think about it. If the only trans women you see on screen are tragic victims or deceitful villains, how does that affect how you see a trans woman in your own community? It creates fear and misunderstanding. It builds walls between people instead of bridges. It was a cycle of harmful storytelling that needed to be broken. For so many of us, media is a mirror. We look to it to see ourselves reflected, to feel validated and understood. But for decades, that mirror was cracked for queer people, or it showed a distorted, funhouse reflection that we couldn't recognize. This lack of positive representation is a heavy weight to carry. It can make you feel incredibly lonely, like you are the only person in the world going through your experience. It's hard to dream of a future for yourself when you never see anyone like you thriving, loving, and simply existing on screen. The absence of stories is a story in itself. Things began to change, but it was a slow and difficult process. The fight for our rights in the real world started to spill onto the screen. Independent films became a brave space where queer stories could finally be told with honesty. These movies weren't always big blockbusters, but they were powerful. They showed queer people as complex human beings. They showed our love, our struggles, and our joy. For the first time, many people saw gay and lesbian characters who weren't just a punchline. They were the heroes of their own stories. This was a revolutionary act in a world that had tried to keep us silent. Then, television started to catch up. I remember the incredible impact of Ellen DeGeneres. In 1997, her character on the show Ellen came out as gay, and Ellen herself came out in real life at the same time. This was a huge moment. It was broadcast into millions of homes across the country. It sparked conversations, both good and bad. It was a risky move for her career, but it opened a door that had been sealed shut. She showed the world that a beloved TV star could be openly gay. That moment gave so many people hope and courage. Of course, progress is never a straight line. For every step forward, there were often moments that felt like a step back. Many queer characters who did make it to television were still defined by their trauma. Their stories were often about pain, rejection, and suffering. While these are real parts of the queer experience for many, they are not the only parts. We needed to see more. We needed to see queer people living full lives. We needed stories of friendship, family, career success, and simple, everyday happiness. The fight was not just to be seen, but to be seen completely. Public figures also played a huge role in this shift. When brave individuals in the spotlight started sharing their own truths, it made a world of difference. Each person who came out, whether an actor, a musician, or a politician, helped chip away at the stigma. They put a real, human face to what it means to be queer. They showed the world that we are your neighbors, your colleagues, and your family members. Their visibility challenged the old, harmful stereotypes. It made it harder for people to believe the lies they had been told for so long. As we moved into the 21st century, the landscape of media truly began to blossom. Suddenly, there was an explosion of new stories. Shows like Will and Grace and Queer as Folk brought gay characters into the mainstream like never before. They were funny, they were dramatic, they were messy, and they were real. Then came films like Brokeback Mountain, which told a heartbreaking love story that touched audiences everywhere. It proved that a queer story could be a universal story. It was a powerful reminder that love is love no matter who it is between. These moments were building blocks for a better future. My own journey is tied to this wave of change. When I was cast as Sophia Bursett in Orange is the New Black, it felt like a turning point. It was one of the first times a trans actress was playing a major trans character on a popular show. Sophia was not a joke. She was not a victim. She was a smart, complicated, and resilient woman. Giving her a backstory, a family, and a voice allowed audiences to connect with her on a human level. It showed them the humanity of a trans person. For me, it was proof that our stories matter, and that we deserve to tell them ourselves. The rise of streaming services has also been a game changer. It has created more space for stories that might not have found a home on traditional television. Shows like Pose, Sense8, and Heartstopper have given us a beautiful rainbow of queer experiences. We are seeing stories about trans women of color, about non-binary people, about queer teenagers falling in love for the first time. This diversity is so important. The queer community is not a monolith. We are a beautiful and varied community, and our media should reflect that. Every new story adds another color to the canvas. Why does this matter so much? Because representation saves lives. When a young queer person sees someone like them on screen, it sends a message of hope. It tells them they are not alone. It shows them that a happy and fulfilling future is possible. For people outside of our community, this representation builds empathy and understanding. It breaks down the walls of prejudice by showing our shared humanity. Seeing diverse stories helps create a world where everyone feels a little more seen, a little more valued, and a little safer to be who they truly are. Today, in 2025, we are in a much better place than we were decades ago. We have come so far from the days of coded characters and harmful stereotypes. We now have queer heroes, queer love stories, and queer families on our screens. We have shows created by and starring queer people, bringing an authenticity that was once unimaginable. When I see a young trans actor thriving today, my heart is filled with so much joy. It is a testament to the hard work of so many people who fought to be seen and heard. We are standing on the shoulders of giants. This journey is about more than just entertainment. It is about justice. It is about claiming our right to exist in the public imagination. True representation is about showing the full spectrum of our lives. It means we get to be the romantic lead, the funny best friend, the brilliant scientist, and yes, sometimes even the complicated anti-hero. We are not just one thing, we are everything, and our stories should reflect that richness. When we tell our own stories, we take back the power from those who once used stories against us. We are rewriting the narrative. Of course, the work is not done. There are still many stories left to tell. We need more representation for queer people of color, for disabled queer people, for our bisexual and asexual family, and for everyone under the vast LGBTQ+ umbrella. We must continue to push for stories that are not just about coming out or facing trauma, but about all the beautiful, ordinary, and extraordinary moments that make up a life. We must ensure that the progress we have made is not lost. We have to protect these stories and make space for even more to be told. Ultimately, the power of media is the power of connection. A story can be a bridge between two people who thought they had nothing in common. It can open a heart and change a mind. When we see true, authentic queer stories on screen, we are doing more than just watching a show or a movie. We are building a more compassionate and accepting world. We are telling every queer person, young and old, that they are seen, they are loved, and their story matters profoundly. And that is a beautiful story to be a part of.